Yeah.
Half the time it's not. It looks pretty much not, but.
Right, yeah. Sometimes I try and turn it off. Turn off the. That looks all right now.
It does, okay, so we're live.
Yeah. Let me double check that I believe so.
Oh, okay, good.
Hey, we have our coffee.
No, we missed last week's green room. There was a horrible traffic jam, which I thought was post-storm, but it really wasn't.
It
was
wasn't,
just
it
a
was
regular
an
accident.
accident. Yeah, it was the storm though. I have to.
I
tell
needed a
you.
haircut anyway. So I couldn't have gone on last week. It was just a mess. Well, no, listen, it's what the storm did.
It
3
did.
weeks
3 weeks.
is all it's been, which is crazy.
But it
Because in a
seems
lot of ways,
longer.
it seems a lot longer.
It does seem
Doesn't
longer.
it? It really does.
Wait,
You know?
was she on or is she not on? No,
No.
nothing.
And now there's a new thing, of course, before it was, do you have electricity or not? Now it's, has the
The
claw
claw.
been to your neighborhood? You had to clean up the debris.
So for those listening, like in Chicago and elsewhere in Boston, down here after post-hurricane, there's so much debris and people just dump it on the street because there's no place to put it.
Yeah, the analogy would be the snow drifts
Yeah,
that,
it's like a snow drift.
that you have up north,
Yeah,
especially
and
in
they're-
parking lots. They have no place to put the
No,
snow.
and
And,
even
right.
on our street, like you can't even see a car because the debris is probably like 10 feet high.
You know, it's
it's
interesting.
crazy.
So, and I want to give
So welcome everybody to the green
to the green
room.
room. So we're still recovering down here in Southwest Florida, and we're trying to get our guest from
Yeah,
down
this is
in the
what's
strike
up.
zone area, and we don't even know if she has connectivity this morning.
Yeah,
That
I
may be
don't.
why
She
we don't
may
have her.
not. I
Just
was.
explain what's going on. with
Yeah,
our-
just so that you know, like I
outreach
was
and-
down there like last week doing kind of a recognizance mission to see what we needed to set up a medical clinic, a free medical clinic down there. So I visited with this Mama Lou who we're trying to get connectivity to. She's located, she has a homeless shelter and a pantry for low income families down in that area.
before. And it's
Before,
out there doing the good
and
work
that
and
all the time,
absolutely.
but now what
Right.
happened, it's gone up like 10,000 fold.
I
What
can only
happened,
imagine.
her location where she is and where this site is literally 2 miles away from Pine Island in Fort Myers Beach, which was
Right.
pretty much ground zero for that.
And what you saw down there, I know, see, you know, listen,
It takes your breath
you
away.
don't want to be a gawker and
And I was taking
drive down
pictures and I
there,
felt
right?
bad because I'm taking pictures
Right.
and these people literally had nothing. And then the problem was
Here in America
in America,
now in
well, not
twenty
the
twenty-two.
no, but this is post-storm.
I
So
got it.
it was like a war zone. You go and it wasn't like one house. You're talking blocks of total devastation where the houses were collapsed. And I posted some pictures on Facebook and people are like, oh, well, you know, we have that damage here. They said, we have debris on the street. I said, this is not debris. This is
Right.
the house.
It's
You have
just
to understand.
destruction.
No,
Yeah.
they thought the debris was just stuff piled
Oh,
up.
that's the house
I'm like,
itself.
it was actually the house. I'm like, do you understand? This is the house. And it's not just one house. You're talking miles and miles and miles. And what Mama Lou told me, we drove around, we tried to get towards Fort Myers Beach and the roads were still blocked, blocked by police because you can't get by. And there's still roads down there, streets and roads that you just cannot get by. But there was a place where she showed me and it's about 3 miles away from Fort Myers Beach. So never mind, Fort Myers Beach is to the ground. There's nothing left. There's no structures. But when you go a little bit, like 2 miles, 1 mile outside of Fort Myers Beach, the surge that occurred.
The
was
surge
12
actually came all the
It
way
did.
up.
It came up
Wow.
20 feet. And so you were seeing boats, she said, like huge boats on the street coming up from the marinas. They were literally going into people, mowing down people's homes in some cases,
Wow.
going through the streets. And so honestly, like people see the things on TV and I was one of them. I'm guilty of it. You see it and you kind of get numb to seeing it. You're like, oh, wow, this is so bad until you drive there. And when you see people.
And there's a smell, of course,
Oh,
from the
the
fish,
smell?
right?
The smell is awful. Plus
Right.
now think it's hot here in Florida.
Right.
It's molding. And these people, this is the only other thing there's a twofold sadness. One, you have people who lost literally everything, their businesses, their lives, their homes. And now you have people looting because the other thing is so many people have lost everything that they're trying to go loot and they're stealing things from the street and trash of people's homes,
Mhm.
but they're trying to gather stuff to sell it to make some money because now they have no money.
Right.
It's like
It's a
a war
mess.
zone. It's a mess. And there were a couple of things that stood out to me, like 2 in particular. One street you're driving down and you drive probably like a mile and there's no homes on either side. They're totally to the ground, but you saw like one refrigerator standing, and you know, like you're like, it's eerie because you're like, oh my God, that's somebody.
There was something there.
Something there.
There was a family
That
there.
family
There was
living
life
there. There
there.
was life there. And then the other that was poignant was like, and honestly, I broke down. I started crying. I couldn't take it. We were driving down and the houses were all decimated, but there was a tree and there was a swing set and there was an older couple who must have been in their 80s swinging on the swing set. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like you, what do you say? Like they have nothing left. Like their homes, their lives were gone and they're sitting on a swing set. And Mama Lou was like, well, Ruta, they're protecting what they have left. And I'm like,
Wow.
and they're literally just singing, they're sitting on the swing set swinging. And I'm like, in front of a pile of heap that was their house. And I was like, wow. And the stories that are coming out of Fort Myers are just like insane. There was it's just so that everybody knows, for those who are listening in our general vicinity and even outside, you can help and send Amazon packages to our address. What we're doing November 5th is we're setting up a tent city. It's a tent medical clinic, actually, inside Living Word Church on 2900 North Tamiami Trail in Fort Myers, which is 2 miles away from Pine Island. What we're doing is we're bringing in basically a unit of physicians, nurses, triage people to come in.
This doesn't happen easy, everybody. Hang on for a second. What you need to know is that, listen, Ruta's done a lot of things in her past, including running a free clinic up here in Sarasota for very many years. So she has experience in doing this. You can't just willy-nilly do something like this. You need experience, contacts. You need to know how to go about doing it. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have you associated, with us and to be associated with you because. Listen, as an emergency doctor, I mean, listen, that's what I am. It's what I'll always be. You want to do something.
You want to do something.
You do. So
and I think
Ruta's organized a fantastic day.
And so for the physicians listening out, I already have I have physicians calling and getting registered. For the docs listening, I know we have a lot of physicians friends that I have listening and to you guys, I reached out to most of you already, but if you're somewhere in the listening area and you're a physician and you want to join in, just contact me. My phone number will be up on our website on Compassionate Cannabis Clinic. We also have a drop-off site here. So if they need everything.
So people say, why are you doing it 3 or 4 or 5 weeks later?
Oh my God, there's a need and you couldn't get in.
The need.
Why
Listen,
you couldn't get in?
And just to get, slightly superficial, but we do thank the governor, surgeon general of the state for allowing us to do telehealth during this critical time. And believe me when I tell you, it goes till November 30th. But the emergency won't be over on November 30th.
These people, come on, oh, this is one of the.
Just from having 2 cars to 1 car, for example, if one of your cars is destroyed.
Or no car.
No
car.
Of course,
these
right.
people who submerged, there's no car.
Of course.
And I wish Mama Lou was on because her frustration level is so high. So whoever's listening in our government, I really have to get this out there. FEMA, you're doing a great job, but you also are non-realistic. They set up a FEMA center in Fort Myers, close to Ground Zero by Fort Myers Beach. They took over a building. They are requiring people to go to do FEMA applications, wait 8 hours in line, and not do it physically in person, but through their car. And they have a drive-through window and they're handing out the applications. If you do not have a car, they are not allowing people to go walk up and get the application. So Mama Lou is outraged. No, Mama Lou.
Insane.
I wish she was on.
And isn't gas still at a premium?
You can't even get gas in the first place. The stations are still down.
The stations are still down.
So there's no gas stations. People's cars submerged. The people lost their houses. They lost their cars. They lost their business. You're making them get in the line in a car, which they don't have anymore.
No, that's insanity.
It is. It's insanity.
And listen, Venice, we got hit hard, no doubt about it.
We did.
As did you, up in Sarasota, lost your pool cage and everything. But we're in the zone of inconvenience.
Yeah, that's all.
Right. And some degree of property damage. It's not complete devastation. And we've crept back to some degree of normalcy with gas stations open, this, that, whatever. As you go each 10 miles to the south from here, though, you see the added destruction all the way down to once again people being completely wiped out.
Yeah,
so
completely wiped out. I have to give a shout out to a couple people. the pharmacies that I work with, Joseph from Sarasota Discount Pharmacy, he just donated $126,000 worth of supplies to me yesterday. My cart is
Wow.
packed and I have to go back for a second pickup, packed full of antibiotics, blood
Wow.
pressure meds, everything that these people are going to need, suturing kits. Also shout out to Bradenton Family Pharmacy. They also are donating $60,000
Wow.
worth of supplies today. Also, a shout out to Northport and Englewood Family Pharmacies. They are actually going to be dispensing live on site November 5th, free of charge. All meds will
Wow.
be free. So to anybody that's going to need them.
Now listen, it's blood pressure meds, it's insulin, it's
These people
cholesterol
don't have
meds,
they don't have
it's
access
right.
now. The pharmacies, I drove down, Walmart, Walgreens and CVS's are blown to the
Still,
ground. There's
yeah.
nothing. So some of them don't even have access to meds. Just so also for the physicians, and I have a lot of volunteers that want to come out. We do need non-medical volunteers. Yes, yes, yes. For medical personnel, please contact me because through the state, you're going to have to register as a provider. It's
easy, everybody.
It's easy. You just sign off. We get you into the state so you have sovereign immunity. You don't have to worry about any lawsuits. The state assumes the responsibility because we're doing this free service. And LPNs, nurses, RNs, PAs, nurse practitioners, you do not have to. You'll be going underneath one of the physicians.
Even transportation people, I know
And
you have plans to
transportation.
actually have a means for people to get to
Yes.
the clinic.
We're looking for trolleys. So I gave a shout out. I'm hoping Hagan Brody comes through for me from Sarasota County, Sarasota City Commissions. We're looking for a trolley because the problem is the people that are dispersed and now homeless and displaced, they have no access to even get to the clinic. So what we'd like is somebody, we're going to have volunteers, hopefully, who are going to offer their cars and drive around, pick up people, but it would be easier on an open trolley because that way, when we go through the neighborhoods, we could have like a bullhorn and tell people. Right now, the people are asking, how are you going to get these people notified that we're doing this free medical clinic? So Mama Lou, who runs a food pantry right now, and she's serving by the hundreds because people don't have food still and they don't have a way to cook it. So they're
Do
giving
we have
out.
a donation site for her at all, Don, that we can?
Yeah, we'll need to
pop up?
put up,
Yeah.
we'll need to give her the donation site, definitely.
Mhm.
And though, then for those listening to in this area, if you can do non-perishable food items, slightly used clothing that are clean, blankets, towels, Aleve, Tylenols, anything like that that still contain, not unopened, please come to Compassionate Cannabis Clinic at 425 Commercial Court Suite C. Please come and drop those off. They need everything. Like, think Ukraine, same thing right now. It's where people just lost everything.
Listen, I got so many t-shirts. I got to get rid of my old Cleveland Indians t-shirts. No, I'm kidding. Seriously, it is time to step up.
Step
It
up.
really
It
is
is.
locally.
Locally and help our own.
Locally.
Like, I'm a proponent, honestly, because Ukraine was close to home for me because of the location and family histories. So, I mean, for me, Ukraine and that area is its own issue, but now we're here at home. And honestly, for those listening, you need to step up. If you have a roof over your head and you're complaining, don't, because
Well, there's over the inconvenience, like I
yeah,
said.
we are, but drive 30 miles south,
It's
50
incredible.
miles south, it's a war zone.
And listen,
So
we're seeing
please,
patients in person and via
And
telehealth. Via
telehealth.
telehealth, I've connected with many from, down in our southern catchment
Yes,
area.
they
And
have
it's unbelievable what they
anxiety.
tell me. Many people still without power.
power.
And I guess Don was saying Xfinity is not back up in Northport. So people don't have their normal connectivity.
No,
And that's minimal,
It's
but just
minimal.
think about losing your home.
it is.
not,
It's totally devastating.
But I'm so proud to be associated with
Thank
the
you.
effort.
So, like I said, November 5th is the date. Whoever wants to head down, my information will be up on the website. I'm sending out, flyers. We're going to be doing a lot of promo for not promo actually, but just a call out to help. So like I said, please, it's time to give back and give back to your own community.
So what happened to the homeless that were in that area? You can only imagine just what.
So Mama Lou, she also works with the homeless community in that area. So they went around like basically door to door, not door to door, woods to woods. Cause a
Woods to
lot of
woods.
them, they went in, they know where there's like set up
There's
tent
encampments,
villages, there's
sure.
encampments. So they went out and they told people to come inside and they gathered as many as they could
During the storm
during the
itself.
storm itself.
Wow.
Some, we may never know if they're dead. It's sad to say, some people may be unaccounted for. And in
It
the
was an
woods,
effort, down there. I have to give such
Yeah.
props to the engineers and
to
everybody
get the
else
bridges back.
to get the bridges back up and the
Yeah.
linemen, that have been doing
And
their
this is-
thing. and
Okay, linemen.
3
thank God,
weeks. It's
3
only been
weeks.
3 weeks.
And there's still thousands of them down south. I mean, you go down and the amount of trucks that are down there
Still,
is still.
and they
is
will be.
And they will be for some time. And honestly, I can't see that area rebuilt. It's gonna take years. Like Fort Myers Beach, Pine Island, you're talking years and years and years of cleanup. So it's not something, that's why like people ask like, oh, it's 3 weeks out. 3 weeks out for these people is nothing. They still have no power. They still have no shelter. They have no homes to go to. They need everything. Now, the other thing that's a strike up also, people are starting to clean up. And as they're trying to clean up, what's happening is they're using chainsaws and they're using things that they're not used to. So they're having a lot of injuries.
Sure.
So the uptick in the ER, oh, this is the other thing. The ERs down there and the hospitals are over capacity because they still cannot treat everybody. So, for those, that's the other reason we're going down there is a lot of people went to get meds and they're saying, you know what, we don't have time for just meds. You can't get it. We need people that are coming in with major injuries or having heart
In other words,
attacks.
don't come into the ER because you missed work yesterday and. need to work.
And you need for your back pain. It doesn't exist right now. So like I said, it's a huge undertaking. So and I have to thank you, Dr. Gordon, for allowing the drop-off site here and also committing to go down November 5th. So again, it takes a village to help a village. It always has. It'll always be true. Nobody can do it on their own and everybody needs to step up and help out the best they can.
Sure. And we'll yak about it a little bit next week too,
Yeah,
but this
we
is the critical
will.
time for preparation. So it's
It
not
is.
this Saturday, next Saturday and.
And like I
right.
said, we're getting the docs signed on, we're getting
Right.
personnel signed on to be volunteers, just because this is open for everybody that has no health insurance. That's the other thing.
Sure.
For those who have healthcare coverage, we cannot, by the state laws, provide any free coverage. It has to be to uninsureds only.
Is that right? Very
It
interesting.
is. It's by state guidelines. So
And how do you really know, I guess,
and
to a
if you
certain
don't know,
extent?
you don't
Right.
know.
I
So
mean,
you
yeah.
know, you say, I have no idea if I do or I don't. We say, oh, we assume you don't. So that's good for us too. So, wink, wink, we don't take people without insurance. You know how that goes.
Interesting.
So, there's always a will and a way. So
Well,
we always will find that will and.
And
that
listen,
way.
politically, it's like there's nothing to talk about or anything. Listen,
Oh my
less than
gosh.
3 weeks to the midterms
3
and.
weeks- 3 weeks to midterms. I know. And okay,
And
so
listen
we
to
have a
Val-
governor's race, which
We could talk about
We could
that, but
talk
it's not
about
like
that, but-
anybody is.
no, nobody is talking about
You
it
know,
because it's just.
Well,
flat
where's
out
Waldo? Where's Charlie?
Waldo?
No, it's
Where's
been a very
Charlie?
disappointing
So-
campaign from the gubernatorial side.
On the Democratic side, I
Well-
have to give, DeSantis was running some really good ads,
He is who he is. We
yes,
know
he
who
We
he
know
is.
who he is.
He wants to control us, control
Yeah.
society, control what we think. He's got a beautiful, lovely family.
He
I'm
does.
glad his wife has
Just
recovered from her
recovered, yes.
cancer.
No, thank God for that.
Seriously, I am. And he may be a wonderful family man. Okay. And you can raise your family, Governor
The way he
DeSantis, how
wants
you
to.
want to raise your family.
Yeah.
But please don't tell me how I can raise my
Absolutely.
family,
And
right?
no one
And what
does.
values I want to bring into my
Exactly, your
family.
house. Yeah,
right?
that's
And-
what
and-
should happen.
It was so difficult for me when I went to Tallahassee to discuss the dose limit cap on medical cannabis, which seems so insignificant now in light of all the other issues that we're dealing with. But what I was concerned about was their intrusion into the doctor-patient
Yes,
relationship,
and that should
right?
never happen.
And how difficult is it to go to Tallahassee right now and have a group over here that is anti-mask, anti-vax. They want to make decisions for themselves and their
For
family.
women.
For sure. And I say, listen, go do that within your own zone. That's okay. But this is America. This is America. We're not a theocracy here,
No,
okay?
we should
This is
never
a
be a
secular
theocracy.
society. We're allowed to make our own decisions with our doctors, okay? So my point, it's about the doctor-patient relationship. But how hard is it to go up there when you have that group over there that wants their freedoms to make decisions about such things, but aren't going to give women a right to choose for their own healthcare freedoms? So to wade into those type of battles is just difficult.
It
And you know
is.
what's interesting to me, Ruta, because you talked about the looting down in the strike zone and everything, and I got it. And I think it's pretty obvious why crime is worse in the country right now, because there's still haves and have-nots.
And it's getting worse.
And it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
And
The
if you think
separation
the
is getting
Republicans
worse.
are going to come in and fix policies
They
to
haven't
help the poor and the homeless,
but-
how do you solve crime? You don't solve crime. Yeah, you put more boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You have prosecutors and this and that. Of course, that's this end, but it's coming from this end, everybody.
Yeah.
So we need social policies that will correct the economic, dysfunction in the country.
They need to, and they.
That's why there's
they
crime.
try- And well, the thing is, they try to cut back on.
And it's worse in the red states than the blue
Oh,
states,
the
quite
red states.
frankly.
Well,
And there's more guns too.
there's more guns, and they're the red states also. It's funny, they are the ones, some of those red states like Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, some of those states use the most federal funds for programs.
No, listen, Biden.
Which is kind of a oxymoron on itself. So you have the people who are fighting the Democratic side, who are giving
President-
them funding, and yet they're like, no, we're not going to vote for them, but we're the ones helping.
President
So go figure.
Biden yesterday, when he came
Frustrating.
out with a new program on the chips and the energy and this and that, many of the contracts are going to states where the senators and representatives didn't vote
Vote
for
even
the
for
bill.
the
But
bill,
what
yeah.
he says is what we all want from our president. It's not red and
Yeah.
blue states. It's red, white, and
And
blue.
It is red,
And
white,
that
and
to me
blue.
has always been the dysfunction of the Trump presidency, was that he wanted to divide. He wanted
did.
red states to get, blue states not to get. If you're not behind me, you're not
Yeah,
going to
you're
get
not with
programs.
me.
This, that,
Well,
whatever.
look at
That's
DeSantis. But, okay,
nonsense.
but look at DeSantis. Come on, look at Disney. Disney went against
I
him.
got it.
The grand poobah said, "Oh my God, we're going to."
It's not how government works. We work together.
Yeah,
And
we
that-
have
that
to
to
work
me
together. It's
is
very
what-
divisive, and
it
we don't need that.
is.
We don't. We had that 4 years of God knows what we had, and
But they
and
had a
it's gonna
chance
move
to
on.
do things, but Trump
But
had
he
no
didn't.
plan.
He had no plan.
He had no
Neither-
plan. He had no
didn't.
agenda. They
Also, he
have
doesn't- he
no
wasn't a leader anyway.
platform. They have no platform.
Mhm.
So if we want to change and put Republicans in charge of the House and God forbid the Senate too, okay, you think we're going to have positive public policy
No,
coming our way?
Never.
I
There's
don't
no government.
understand it. And I don't understand how now, just 3 weeks out, the Democrats are kind of starting to get that narrative. We're the ones that have actually passed legislation.
Legislation.
We've done things. And if you want to blame the Democrats for inflation, everybody,
Oh,
come
come
on. It's a
on.
worldwide
It's
problem.
it
And the
is.
deficit
It's
buildup
also
was during the
cyclical.
Trump years. There was more
But
spending during
Anybody
those
that
years.
went to
How
college.
gullible
and
can
did, like,
people be?
Yeah, come on. It's supply, it's demand, it's economic, it's
global.
cyclical, and it's cyclical.
We're in pretty damn good shape compared to a lot of other
Yeah.
countries.
Oh my God, if you look at it like in Great Britain right now, and you look at Europe, and you look at everywhere, they're in crisis mode because of the costs of inflation. So, it's cyclical. Inflation always has been, and it still will always be. But, we need to just vote in smart people. And speaking of Val Demings and smart people, like,
Absolutely.
she's running a great campaign.
She is.
Where is Marco Rubio? He's not voted on so many things. He's not showed up to so many things.
I showed you the ads
I
that you
don't
hadn't
like it.
seen.
Yeah, awful ads.
Listen,
Racist
to
is the
make
day of
Val
the-
look as she did on TV,
No, it
like
was
some
terrible.
radical, quite frankly, monkey, gorilla. I'm going to call it out, man. That was racist.
Oh, it
That
was
was racist.
racist.
That was a racist commercial.
Yeah, it was.
And
racist.
it's disgusting.
No, it
and
was
it
awful.
really is. And Val Demings has done nothing,
No, Val
but
Demings
positive for
is-
society.
I
It's
mean,
the
she had-
police chief of
she- police chief,
Orlando.
she
And
was just honestly.
call
she
her
was
soft
good.
on crime. I think it's
Yeah, call her
unbelievable.
soft on crime, really. So there's just so much going on.
But I'm energized over that race. And I think,
That race
there,
should be good. And then, so Dr. Berry yesterday comes by with a post that he got on his feed through the cannabis
I'm
world.
so glad you remembered to bring this up
So,
before we get off.
With
Circle
all
K.
with all this legislation against medical cannabis and the doctors' hands being tied, someone decided that Wawa, not
No,
Wawa,
no,
excuse
Circle
me,
K.
Circle K should now sell medical marijuana.
Well, it's Rise. It's
It's
Rise
Rise.
and Green,
And
Rise and Green Thumb
Green-
Industries have signed a deal
It's
with Circle
mind-boggling.
K
With Circle K,
Hang
to
on, to
have
bring
a back
10
room. It's
to bring
mind-boggling.
10 Rise dispensary locations
Into
to Circle K's.
So,
Okay.
so for the state that's banning
Big
everything.
CBS News headline,
I
you know,
mean,
this, that.
come
I've gotten a
on.
lot of.
You don't, yeah, let's not bring it
sent
into
it to
a
me.
pharmacy. You have MMTCs who have like so much restrictions on them. And now you want to open it to a gas station. You think those people who don't card anybody to begin with and sell on this illegal drugs on the sidelines, in most cases, they know the dealers are in their parking lots. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
it's a joke.
You know,
It's
and
awful.
listen, this is what I wrote back on Twitter. As a medical cannabis doctor here in Florida, I say that this is a long ways away. It's still medical here and will be for the foreseeable future. You can't just put a dispensary
In a gas
anywhere. And
station.
this state is still very conservative. A provocative story indeed, but lots more to it. Listen, here's my point.
Crazy.
Rise, Green Thumb. You're going to get Circle K to take their Delta 8, okay, out of the stores or their CBD. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what they
I don't know
sell,
what they sell.
but I
either.
guarantee you, if you
Oh,
walk
I'm
in
sure it's
there,
CBD,
okay,
all that
you could probably
crap.
find CBD garbage.
Yeah, garbage.
Listen, it may or may not be garbage. I don't know who's supplying
Well,
their CBD,
Well,
where it's
Circle K,
tested,
where you have
for
no
sure.
idea where.
but they
it's
may have
coming
Delta
from.
8 products as
Oh, yeah,
well
also
and
different.
other such things. So to me, if we're going to start this discussion
Then
about
let's
the
regulate.
availability of
Oh, and then
cannabinoids,
yeah,
let's have the
let's have it.
appropriate, legitimate
And,
discussion.
and who's gonna be, are they gonna have bud tenders behind that know the product? and
Listen,
know
there's
what the
no.
They're gonna have
No.
access to medical state
No.
records of patients?
Listen,
Are
I
you
love
kidding me?
Rise. I
I'm
love
sorry,
Rise and I
no.
love Green Thumb. They're a nice company. They've had 6 or
It's against the
7.
company, it's against.
They've
whoever
had,
this
but
deal
you have
is,
to
I know.
understand what's going on. They've had 6 or 7 dispensaries here in Florida, pretty much over the past 4 years. They
They
have
can't grow.
not expanded,
They
right?
can't, and this is.
So if this is a
why.
way of looking at site expansion in a
Well,
economical way for them, hang on.
I get
But there's
that.
HIPAA.
Yes,
There's
thank
HIPAA
you.
concerns. You
There's
can't
HIPAA
just have people mingling, you know, within the crowd at Circle K going in to get their medical cannabis.
Medical cannabis.
So they're
yeah,
gonna need
no,
a separate
HIPAA.
space with a
Well, they
different
said
entrance.
it's gonna have
Listen,
a different entrance. Are you?
whatever,
kidding me?
okay?
I don't care where. I'm
Listen,
sorry,
I
not
got
even.
a wonderful Circle K right here on 41 in Venice. Come on, okay? Just have a conversation. Just
Something legit like a Walgreens or a CVS, go into a pharmacy at least, like make it medicinal. Selling it at a gas
That-
station, I'm sorry, that
Yeah,
also
yeah,
just,
yeah,
I'm
it's
really,
just-
come on.
the story has so many
It's
levels,
just so-
you know, so many layers, so many levels
Yeah,
to it, you
so
know.
many.
But it's interesting who gets reached out to make comment on these stories, who doesn't, you know. And I want to offer myself as what some degree may consider to be an expert in the field. I'm teasing you. Listen, these are the issues. I guarantee you they never thought of the Delta 8 and the CBD that may be in
So
there
they never
already.
thought of that.
They never
anyway,
thought
but
of
they
making
haven't
positive
regulated
and
it.
commentary and movement and
They
this
don't
and that.
regulate it. They have to
So
regulate it.
I invite either of the leaders of Circle K and or Green Thumb to reach out and
Circle K.
okay, whatever that may be.
I mean,
They kind of go around in a perpetual circle, you know. It's kind of no, actually Circle K, I think, derived from the Lawsons or weren't they dairy markets?
I
at
have
some
no
point, too? I
idea
think
where they come
Maybe
from.
yeah, they've come from certain things.
Oh, I don't know.
But they're everywhere. But
They're
that
everywhere,
was just
they
a
are.
crazy story.
But I'm sorry to give it some, like, you're totally disrespecting it as a medicinal product to throw it in a gas station. I'm sorry, Rise. Bad move.
Yeah, it really didn't look good thing. And
Doesn't
listen,
look good.
and
Mhm.
we got so involved with talking
Optics
about
are not
our
gonna-
rescue, you know, our efforts for next weekend and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That the purpose of the green room last week, actually, we were going to talk about President Biden's major announcement. Okay, because listen, we talk about it at the green room.
Yeah.
Things happen day to day.
Day to day.
After our green room 2 weeks
So
ago,
he did
Biden
talk
came
about-
out, talked
yeah.
about the deschedule or
Scheduling.
the
But he hasn't
changing of the schedule. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because there's nothing that's.
We haven't heard de-scheduling,
not
which would be
de-scheduling
great to
yet.
hear. I guarantee you the talk will be more towards
But the thing is,
scheduling.
but he's changed the policy on the federal
He
level
has.
to a degree that, okay, the ones that were in for felonies or misdemeanors now will, for possession of marijuana,
Right.
they will be released. But this is the big problem. You're talking, this is on a federal level.
Very
unless
few
somebody-
federal prisoners.
unless somebody's coming through Mexico
Right.
or through Canada, one of our borders that's not America,
They're almost all state
They're all
charges.
state charges,
So
so
he-
that has no.
So he's
no
asked the governors,
nothing.
of course, to
State
follow
charges are
suit.
State charges, yeah, but what governor may be.
Well, somebody posted on Facebook that they fully expected Governor DeSantis to now follow those.
Oh, yeah, right, I would love to work, what plan?
To get
it is.
expungements and social and
Yeah,
racial
well,
injustice
not
issues and job protections
that's
and all
not
those other
gonna
things that we
happen.
talk about.
But
Those
so-
are years long.
So even
long
for the vets,
efforts.
like, so the vets keep trying to get access, to the meds.
Did you
and
see
it's
the
not gonna
guys that were
happen, so-
arrested for voting fraud things or
No, I
something in
didn't see
Florida?
that.
Oh, yeah, they've actually had some people
They
arrested under
did?
Governor DeSantis's voter police.
Voter police.
Yeah, these are people that voted who
Illegally?
yeah,
This is the
illegally,
only
and
thing.
he had them arrested
Like the hardest time, you can't get regular people who to go vote.
to go vote. Yeah, and you're gonna arrest people who want to vote. Yeah.
Because like an average person, you talk to your friends, you're like, yeah, I didn't vote. I didn't
No,
vote,
but it's
I didn't
felt,
vote,
no,
I
but
didn't vote,
seriously,
whatever.
it's,
Doesn't make a
it's
difference.
felt to have been an example to scare people away that fear that they
Funny.
may not be able to vote.
I don't see so
right?
many lining up to be like, hey, I
No.
can't vote and I'm gonna do it illegally.
So-
I just.
It's not, so you can't, can you still register to vote at this point? Probably
Town's
can,
closed
right?
already,
Because
yeah.
ballots are out.
Ballots are out.
So many people, most of us have already gotten them. Listen,
Yeah.
everybody, conscientiously, please, we need everybody's efforts over these next couple,
With our
3
jokes.
weeks.
Vote often.
Yeah. vote often, yeah. And listen, we'll circle back and talk about the federal changes
Yeah.
after the election. We'll bring an expert in.
And we still have like, shout out to Derek Reich. He's
Absolutely,
running
sure.
For state.
Been a pretty
legislator.
quiet campaign, at least
Quiet
down here. We
campaign
haven't heard
down
much.
here, But the storm impacted,
It
you know,
did, it
talk
did.
about like worst
I
storm for
know,
those
wow.
candidates
Yeah,
running.
right.
You had a major hurricane. So you had you have 3 weeks of non-campaign time to try to get your message out.
You've
people-
been there, you
I
know,
have, and it's
sure.
brutal because people right now, you're gonna knock on their door, they're gonna slam the door in your face
Sure.
because these people have lost things. They have other
Right.
things.
And
to
everybody
worry
be
about,
careful out
so-
there. One of my neighbors was up on a ladder a couple days ago,
Oh,
fell
yeah.
off the ladder.
Is
He's
he
in the hospital.
okay?
No, he's in the hospital right now and still very concerned about him. So
Yeah.
be safe, be cautious. Ruta said the debris pileups and all that are still
Huge.
impeding and blocking, and
Yeah.
you just be careful and be kind and be kind.
And then the only other thing, like, I don't know about some neighborhoods, but like our neighborhood doesn't want trick or treaters, and rightfully so, because you cannot see these kids. And if you're driving in a car in the
For sure.
debris, it's like snowbanks. You can't see, you literally
No.
just can't see. So,
No,
to
we're
have
still in
bunch
a
of
very
little kids
altered,
running
we're
around,
still in a very altered environment down here in
we
Southwest
are, and
Florida.
it's gonna be like that for a while. So again, like, try to come out November 5th. Please stop by Compassionate Cannabis clinic site at 425 Commercial Court. If you're living out of state and you want to help, there's going to be a donation site that we'll post up. And also you can always buy Amazon and ship it down here. So if you want to buy like, a thing of any kind of soups or foods or anything that you can, canned goods,
Sure.
you can just send it via Amazon. I had a couple of people ask me that yesterday. So on my Facebook after I posted. So anything you can do to help, please do. Again, clothing, gently used, clean clothes, clean, please. These people, they lost everything, but have some respect. Don't bring like, soiled clothing. It's inappropriate, and we'll just throw it in the trash. So please we're going to go through everything, make sure everything's nice and clean. So donate, come
And
help.
really, the timing could be just about right down there, that people really are just starting to get back to that degree of concern. You got to take care of your housing first.
Well, there's no
And then-
housing. That's
Right,
the
there's so many
biggest-
things that
there's
they've been
so many
focused
things.
on. The health may come second.
And
or
just,
third.
the other thing that's really needed, one of the biggest things, like razors, because they don't, like, they need razors, deodorant, shampoos, dry shampoos.
Right,
In
sure.
a lot of cases, because some of them, if they're on septic tanks, they still don't have water. So you're talking, it's still a huge
So are there
mess.
shelters that are still operating down there?
There-
where
oh, yeah, there
people
are
are
shelters.
actually living
Yeah,
in
there are
in
shelters. There are shelters. So most of them, what's happening, according to Mama Lou, is most of those people try to go back to something, whether it's a job or go cleaning up their yard, which
During
is
the day.
during the day, and then they just go to the shelters at night because the shelters really just they need their
Heartbreaking.
it is heartbreaking. So like if you go down there, please show compassion. Don't complain like that your lanai blew off. Like really, it's just not the time. These people lost everything, and put it in perspective. If you have a roof over your head, be very grateful for what you have right now in Florida, because many do not, thousands do not.
And let's, keep that
Yeah.
glimmer of hope of everybody bonding together, which I think has been one thing that's
It
been
is, I have to say, like,
a
and again, but
positivity.
this is always in a storm or a tragedy.
It is.
Like you go back to the 9/11
Yeah.
thing. during this hurricane, the day after, I mean, all of us opened our doors for the first time. We're all locked up. Every neighbor's outside. We're sharing generators. Everybody's bringing electrical cords to hook somebody up. People are cooking for each other. Whoever had a grill was like, hey, I'm making salmon. Do you want salmon tonight? And somebody else is like, well, I still have some vegetables that are fresh. Let's use that. We'll make a salad. So like people ate together. Like, it was a nice bonding. And
it's sorrowful that it has to come to a tragedy to bring people together like that. But listen, you have to get the lemonade out of the lemons where you can.
And that is lemon.
So let's keep that spirit going, and we look forward to, people assisting us and assisting others.
And again, we're still the green room. So for patients that are listening, if you
notice we didn't say bring your used vape cards.
No, don't use your vape cards.
Don't puff pass in Florida.
No.
And no flower donations.
Yeah, no, don't do flower donations.
No flower donations.
Shouldn't be there. But there is telehealth till November 30th. So if you're in listening mode or you have access to a phone, and there's a high uptick, obviously, of PTSD, depression, and anxiety right now.
I don't want anybody to be without the medication that helps them best and safest during this critical time.
And I know they can't even get to a dispensary if they tried right now, but just know that if your recertification's coming up, you can do it via telehealth. So hopefully that'll ease some of the stress for some people, because I don't know what they're doing down there, because really dispensaries, I assume, are to the ground. Everything's closed. I mean, down there, like there's still so many things that are closed.
3 weeks.
So until life gets back to normal, it's going to be a while.
Which means patience, of course.
Yeah,
we better get out of the green room. Oh, we've been gratifyingly busy.
Yeah,
and we'll stay so.
So everybody, November 5th, keep that in mind, and everybody stay